Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Elivaras, a senior player moderator for League of Angels Fire Raiders. Welcome to part 3 of Hero Spotlight, a series where we take a look at a certain hero, delve deep into their skills, figure out which crests, astral training lines, and runes should be focused on that hero, and which team compositions that hero works well in. Today, we are going to be focusing on this lady right here with the very long ears, Green Ranger. This was a request, and I decided I might as well do it because she's actually been getting quite strong. So, let us start with her abilities. If I can find them somewhere in here. Alright, here we go. Alright, so first ability, Arrow Shower. This is her ultimate ability. Cast countless arrows to cause great damage to the enemies in the front line. And this will do, assuming you have her second ability unlocked, more damage the lower health the enemy has. So this will hit all enemies that are currently in the line closest to her. So if there is one enemy left in the front line, this ability will only hit that one enemy. If there's 3 enemies left in the back line and their whole front line is dead, this ability will hit the back line. So if there is front line still alive, it'll hit the front line. If there is no front line still alive, it'll hit the back line. So, obviously, you want this to hit as many heroes as possible, and usually what you want to happen is, well, what you're really shooting for is the best situation is... What the heck is this thing in the corner? I have no idea. Usually the best situation is you want to just finish killing their tanks, and then she ults and destroys the backline. Unfortunately, this is usually pretty rare and doesn't happen. Usually she'll just end up shooting the front line, but if you can get her to kill their whole front line, she'll have enough rage to then, on the next turn, go and kill the backline. So this is her basically huge hitting ability, tons and tons of damage. This next ability... Arrow Shadows. Green Ranger causes more damage and receives less damage with less HP. I will say that I actually didn't know that she receives less damage the less HP she has. It seems like her gain 1% effects from each 1% lost HP. So she takes 99% less damage at 1% HP. Seems a little ridiculous, but who knows. It seems like it hasn't been that ridiculous so far, but that's very interesting because I did not know that was actually a thing. But basically, this means that her first ability, if she gets to low health and casts this first ability, she'll end up doing a ton of damage and can completely wipe a front line out. Next ability, Bow Mastery, aims the arrow to attack enemies' vital parts. This increases her crit chance. So she gets increased critical chance. Next, Hunter, outstanding archery will increase the arrow's power. So she'll get extra damage, flat damage. And then Wind's Bite. This is her evolution ability, or awakened ability. Blessed by the Wind Fairy, each basic attack of the Green Ranger can poison targets, dealing continuous damage. It can be stacked twice. So I have not played with Green Ranger. She's not on my main team, so I don't know how good this damage is. It doesn't feel like it's an amazing ability, but... of course, I don't know. So it could be, it just helps her do more damage and adds a little bit of damage over time to the enemy team. So now we finish going through her skills. We are going to take a look at her crests. So what crests should you use on Green Ranger? By the way, I will say that I will put timestamps in the description, and I will also put the crests you should use on her, the Astral Training Lines you should use, and runes to be focused all in the description like I did for Elder Dwarf. I didn't do as many for Light Envoy, but I decided I'd start doing it with Elder Dwarf, so. Crests. Crests for Green Ranger are very, very interesting. So, you can run the classic Assault. You can't go wrong with Assault. Assault is always good for any DPS, will always benefit them, give them extra flat damage as their side effect, right? Extra attack, always welcome on a DPS hero. Flash, of course, if you are like shooting for the top of the leaderboards, if you're really focused on that meta of deal as much damage as possible, as quickly as possible, obviously Flash with attack percent is going to work well for you. However, I'm told this has been on Chinese servers. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't really care much for the Chinese meta because obviously that's not our meta. But this is very interesting, is that people sometimes run, especially in China, they run Duelist on Green Ranger. Normally, I would never say to run Duelist, because basically the issue with Duelist is that you can never guarantee that you will have a greater attack than the enemy. And as you can see in the bottom left corner here, its foreset is if attack is higher than the target's. That first sentence. The below effects will only trigger if your hero's attack is higher than your enemy's attack. If you're free to play, your attack will almost never be higher than the enemy's attack. So usually and even as pay to play, you cannot guarantee it. So it's usually not the best option to run Duelist. Basically, if attack is higher than targets, deal 2.5% additional damage for every 10% difference. So, basically, the reason people are running this in China is because Green Ranger's second ability gives her more attack the lower the health she has. Which means that if she gets to really low health, her attack will skyrocket. And that means that she is almost guaranteed to have more attack than the enemy and therefore can take advantage of this ability. However, we do have a bit of an issue of this whole 10% difference and 2.5% additional damage. So orange crest means this is legendary. So that means that this is the highest possible you can get. 2.5% additional damage for every 10% difference. So even if her attack skyrockets, I feel like her attack isn't going to get so high that it's going to give her a massive advantage. Let's say she has an extra 100% attack on the enemy. So she has double the attack of the enemy. She will deal 25% extra damage. 25% extra damage is not a whole lot, to be honest. I mean, it's good. Obviously, it is good. 25% extra damage, nothing to laugh at, nothing to stick your nose up at. But that is assuming you have double the opponent's attack. And with most of the new meta damage dealers, like we're talking like Draconia, Shadowstalker, you are almost guaranteed to not have that much of an attack advantage over your enemy. So it's up in the air, really. I would probably just stick with Assault because it just gives you a flat attack bonus. Duelist does have the ability to give you a even more attack bonus than Assault has. As Legendary, Assault will give you a force that will give you plus 20% attack. So with Legendary Duelist Crest, you do have the ability to surpass that, but most of the time you won't surpass that. I'll go into more why this may be an issue, especially with that ability later on when we talk about team compositions. I'll go into that a little bit more. But for now, I would probably stick on the safe side with Assault with attack percent. Go with a... I just lost my train of thought. Go with Flash with attack percent if you're really shooting for the top. But I mean, you could also, if you're really shooting for the top, so if you're pay to play, you can switch out the Flash with attack percent for Duelist. Because if you're pay to play almost at the top of the charts, you're going to be fighting people who are already lower than you, and you probably have these super high attack heroes. So the only chance I'd say that Duelist is 100% you can use it is if you are near the top of the leaderboards and you have OP heroes. Because if you're already near the top, you're already going to be fighting people that have less attack than your hero, and those heroes that you're using them on are probably insanely OP heroes like Draconia and Shadowstalker. With these crests, they're probably like... Sorry, excuse the with these crests, but they're probably like 300% more attack than whoever you're fighting if you're at the top of the leaderboards with the Draconia and Shadowstalker, which means you're going to gain a massive attack bonus and massive damage bonus. So if you're top of leaderboards, and you've got some of these OP heroes, I would definitely say yes, use these. If not, if you're free to play, I would go the safe option with Assault. So I've decided that I won't. I'll keep on going with what I was going to say before. I won't wait till the end, so I don't forget what I was going to say. But basically, what I was going to say is that the only thing about Duelist is it basically says, like, for every 10% difference, and you gain her second ability has her deal more damage the lower health she is at. The only issue with this is that it's unlikely that she's going to stay at a low amount of health for long. As we've seen before, and as damage dealers evolve with even more and more damage, there's almost no chance of a hero surviving at very little HP. Shadowstalker Draconia hits you, you're not going to survive at 1% HP, you're going to die with like a 200k crit overkill. It's very unlikely that Green Ranger will survive with very low health so that she'll be able to have these massive attack differentials because of her second ability, allowing her to take huge advantage of these Duelist crests. And that's the thing I don't like about Green Ranger in general, is that when you're facing some really powerful damage dealers, it's unlikely that she's going to be at low enough HP to really do enough damage to the enemy. Especially, like, Night Sentinel could one-hit crit her if she's in the front line. And if she's in the back line, she probably won't be taking that much damage to start off, so she'll be at full health when she ults. And then when she does get hit, it's probably like a Bamboo Fighter ulting, or a Shadowstalker ulting, or a Dragon Queen ulting, and she's dead in one hit anyways. So that's the one thing I don't like about Green Ranger. And it also affects her Duelist crests, because your attack needs to be, like, she needs to be at like 5% HP to get a huge attack differential. Meaning that, and because it's such a low chance to actually keep her, it's such a low chance to get her to 5% HP because of how much damage dealers are damage dealers are dealing, that it's unlikely. And she won't stay at that low HP for long because the next turn she'll probably be dead because she's at such low HP. So, in summary of what I just said, she needs to be at very low HP to get high attack to take advantage of these crests, but it's very unlikely that she will get to very low HP and survive because damage dealers are not killing your heroes by like 1,000 damage over their health. It's like 100,000 damage over their health. So it's very unlikely that your Green Ranger will survive at very low health anyways. So moving on from that very long rant on crests. In the end, to summarize, crests in general, if you're free to play or low pay to play, I'd go with Assault with attack percent. And if you are pay to play and very high up on the leaderboards, pushing for the top, I would probably go with Duelist with attack percent. Because, yeah, you'll get way more attack than the people you're facing. Although, I guess that's still a little shaky just because in cross-server and such, you can't guarantee that you'll have more attack than the enemy. So in your own server, if you're top of the leaderboards, it's good for Arena. If you're in cross-server and such, which you probably are, it may not be a good idea. Who knows? So, yeah, it's up to you. Crests are kind of up in the air. So now, after that long rambling, let's take a look at Astral Training Lines. So, of course, we have the classic 5. Now, with tanks, we had said Aries was the best because it gives you the most tanky stats, but obviously that will not be the case. So, I've not gone through this ahead of time, so we'll kind of look through here. But I believe Leo is going to be your top-of-the-line option, and the one you're going to pick first, just because it gives 2 attack stats. Actually, we also have Taurus here. No, we don't. It's only Leo, isn't it? Yes. Leo gives 2 attack stats. It gives attack, and it gives hit. Obviously, attack is always good for DPS. You always want to attack just, deal more damage. Hit is also good because I find the one thing that Green Ranger suffers from is not being able to hit the enemy. She'll ult and she'll miss like 3 of her shots because the enemy dodges over and over again because her hit rate is not very high. And these are the ones I'm facing that are around my level and around my BR range. So her hit rate is pretty lacking, so I would definitely say Leo because of attack and hit. And then after that, we have attack, 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 attack. Yikes. Okay. So I would say then Gemini and Cancer are on the same level because obviously they both give attack, but I like dodge more than I like parry, just because dodge is way more useful. You might as well dodge all the damage instead of dodging only half the damage. So I like dodge more than parry. It'll help her survive a little more. Gemini gives her resilience, and this will mean less likely for her to get crit on, meaning more likely she will survive at low health rather than an 100k crit overkill. It will still be unlikely, but this will make it a little bit less unlikely, and she has a better chance to survive at low health because she won't be getting crit on. Taurus still gives attack, but I don't like parry as much, so far it's Leo in the top, then Gemini/Cancer, then Taurus, and then Aries at the bottom because it's all defensive stats, and she's a damage dealer. She doesn't need defensive stats. Like, let's be real here. Any defensive stats she'll gain from Astral Training Lines won't even matter because she's got completely lackluster defense stats anyways. So now, let's take a look at runes. Right, runes. Yeah, there she is, right near the top. So, she has quite a few runes that could be contested for which ones to go for. And I haven't really looked at this ahead of time, so... Huh. To be honest, I'm kind of like, okay, hit points is obviously at the bottom. Hit points is always the least priority. Hit points doesn't give you that much, especially when you're being overkilled by an 100k critical hit. So the question then is like, crit damage, crit chance, physical attack, agility. So we do know that her third ability gives her extra crit chance. So she'll probably want to take crit damage over crit chance. That'll be a bigger priority for her. Then there's physical attack, and then there's agility. So, I'd probably go with... How useful is agility on her is the real question. If you're fitting with the meta of wanting to deal as much damage as possible as quickly as possible, you'll probably want agility. But in the long run, I think because she doesn't have like big opener abilities like Dragon Queen or like Bamboo Fighter, where they've got a big hard-hitting ability you want to get off right at the start of the fight, agility probably is not going to be as useful. It does mean, though, that if there's a long queue of heroes using their ultimate ability, she'll be able to go off first, which will obviously be useful. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say. I'm kind of having trouble making my mind up here, but I think physical attack, agility, and crit damage are all on the same level at the top. Those are the three you'd want to focus first. Then crit chance, and then hit points. If you have her third ability, which gives extra critical hit chance, not leveled up very far or not at all, I would not recommend growing crit damage early on, because obviously crit damage only helps when you have a high chance to critically hit. So if that ability is not leveled up very far, if she does not have a high critical hit chance, do not go crit damage, go physical attack and agility. But I think attack is the biggest priority, so I kind of switch up my mind here. Physical attack first. I'll always take attack, usually first. Then crit damage / agility. Of course, only crit damage if your crit chance is high from her third ability. Then crit chance, because her third ability gives her crit chance, so she already has some. And then hit points at the lowest. So those are my recommendations for her runes. So now, team compositions with Green Ranger. So we know that she will usually hit the front line. With her ultimate ability, she'll only hit the front line. None of her abilities can hit the back line. This means that she needs... well, what does this mean? That's a good question. She can only hit the front line, and usually the enemy damage dealers are in the back line. So obviously you want to get to the enemy damage dealers. So your prime situation, as I mentioned earlier in the video, was you want her to ultimate the back line. You want to kill their front line, lickety-split, and then get her to ult that back line and completely decimate it. For that, you need to kill the front line. So you can go for a frontline nuker team composition where you just have heroes with her in the back line that will nuke down the front line. So you could have Pyrona for that fireball to destroy a hero, and you could have Night Sentinel to destroy the other hero, and then she can ult the back line, and bam, game over. Obviously, there's other heroes that can use as frontline nukers along with her. Along with her, you could also use AoE heroes because her attack is AoE. So, because she typically suffers from a low hit chance, her ultimate ability, when used against tanks, will not always kill the tanks just because they end up dodging a lot, especially if it's like Light Envoy and Rose Knight and Lumia and such, or Astral Child, you know, if they have high dodge. Therefore, you might want some other AoE or heroes that can hit the heroes that she hits to follow up. So this could be like probably not a Narita or a Snow Queen, since you want them to hit the back line. Snow Queen does hit the front line with one ability, but doesn't do a super amount of damage. You'll probably want people, so you want people to follow up on Green Ranger's damage in case she misses a whole bunch of abilities. Therefore, you could get people like Dragon Queen in, Bamboo Fighter, Shadow Stalker, Draconia, but those two you'll always want in no matter what, so it doesn't matter with those two. But, you know, other heroes that can follow up on her damage, that can hit the same targets as she hits, which Pyrona and Night Sentinel will also do that since she hits the front line. So, yeah, you can go with a single target, or not a single target, a single and multi-target frontline nuking team composition to get that front line down as quickly as possible. On the flip side, because if you do run that composition, you suffer from potentially having your backline destroyed by their backline, since you're nuking their front line. Which means that with Green Ranger, especially with just surrounding Green Ranger in general, because she only hits the front line, not only with a nuking composition, just with Green Ranger in general, because she only hits the front line, this leaves their enemy backline to deal lots of damage. If their enemy backline is like Dragon Queen, Bamboo Fighter, Shadow Stalker, Draconia, this is obviously a huge problem. Therefore, you want people along with her to be able to hit their backline or crowd control their backline to keep your backline alive long enough so that Green Ranger can finish off the front line and then kill the backline. So, because Green Ranger can typically finish a front line off on her own, although she can suffer from lack of hit chance, you could use two backline heroes on your team that can hit the enemy backline. So two that can follow up on each other. You could do like Narita and Dragon Queen, who can both hit the backline. You could do like Narita Snow Queen, who can both hit the backline, and that way those two kill the backline while she kills the front line. So yeah, you could have... So to wrap up my kind of disarrayed thoughts here, you can run a frontline nuking team composition because obviously she nukes the front line. Although sometimes, because she suffers from low hit chance, she may not finish off the enemy front line, which means she'll want other heroes to follow up on her damage to kill the front line, and that's where you can get this frontline nuking team composition in to finish off their front line as quickly as possible and get to the back line. The only issue you have with that is that because you're nuking the front line, their back line is able to run free on yours. I just threw my pen. Meaning that you may not want to run a frontline nuking team composition. You may want either tanks that can CC their backline, so a Lumia who can knock out their backline long enough so that your frontline nuking team composition can get to the backline, or you want, rather than a frontline nuking team composition, you want Green Ranger alongside two other heroes on your team that can both hit the backline or both CC the backline to bring them down to kill the backline while Green Ranger kills the front line. So yeah, I hope I was a little bit in disarray there, you know, since I didn't script this one. I was a little all over the place. I hope it didn't affect the video too much. I think I still got all of what I wanted to say out there. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you for spending a little part of your day with me. It's it's really nice to be doing this YouTube channel, see that people enjoy my videos, see the likes that people are giving my videos, so they do enjoy them. So I thank you for that, guys. I thank you for helping me grow this channel. I hope you guys all have a great night. I apologize for the lack of videos, for the 6-day wait in between this one and the last one. It's been a busy week, so I apologize for that, and I hope to get more videos out more frequently. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers, guys.